The more you got.
Well, Mr. Mayor, thank you. Hello. I know, I'm pretty informal today, aren't I? Sorry.
All
right, are we ready? Okay, I'd like to open this regular meeting tonight of the Board of Trustees, 7 p.m. May 6th. Roll call, please.
Murphy?
Here.
Moore?
Here.
Miles?
Here.
Brown?
Here.
Hollingsworth?
Here.
Hutchins?
Here.
Fairweather?
Here. All present. Approval of minutes from April 15th. I think you just got them tonight. If you want to take some extra time to look at it.
Did I abstain from the bills payable on section 4, number 1? You weren't here. No, were you?
No, I don't think you.
Why would I abstain from the bills payable from the April 1st meeting?
Yeah, that was in the
Because you weren't there.
You were getting married, weren't you?
What day? What's your anniversary date?
Yeah.
You were gone on the 1st. So that's why. Oh, that
So-
went on bills payable.
No, I need to
I did.
correct that. That was in my notes, but you're absolutely right about the fiscal minutes.
Questions? Yeah.
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes for April 15th with the one noted change.
I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from April 15th. Any further discussion or corrections? Roll call vote, please.
Murphy?
Yes.
Moore?
Yes.
Miles?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Hollingsworth?
Yes.
Hutchins?
Yes.
Fairweather?
Yes. Judd?
Thank you very much.
Backtrack.
Trustee Rob Hudgens for the letter. I said yes. I abstain on the issues.
Have any problem with that? None heard? Thanks, Judd, for seeing that.
Thank you, Rob.
But that was the minutes.
That's minutes. Not bills.
It's easy for me to fold.
Let's keep moving forward.
I'm at the gate, let me tell you.
Next, we have bills payable. Judd, I expect you're gonna abstain from.
I'll probably borrow this one too. Some things never change.
make a motion to pay the bills May 6, 2015 for $45,349.49.
I'll second.
Motion and second to approve the bills, May sixth, 2015, in the amount of $45,349. Motion and second for that, any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Murphy?
Yes.
Mark? Brown? Hollingsworth?
Abstain. Bruce is for me, Billy, and, Goodwin, Harvey. And I still think
Yes.
so.
Here, Helen.
Yes. Next, employee reports, mayor's first. Arbor Day is May 16th, so before our next meeting, 10 o'clock. And location where it's gonna be is undecided at this point, I think in the town park or down by the record tree. You know,
Sandy,
Ben?
what'd you put in the paper, town park?
I don't know. I'm just realizing now, maybe, I don't remember, we used last year's.
Maybe meet in the park.
Yeah.
Park.
I think it does, I think it says the park, but
Okay.
we can still fix it tomorrow if we have to.
Let's meet there, then we'll go around and plant a tree or two and go lift our national record tree. And also I'd like to introduce Jennifer Wrightsell, our new Silver World representative. We'll be covering our meetings.
Be nice to her.
After this. And lastly, I'd like to thank Sandy.
You're very
You're very nice to the board in all your writings.
Well, thank you.
For the most part.
If I, here's from the rest.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Bruce.
Next is the town manager report.
Okay, well, I have an extensive update on our water line replacement, but I think you just heard all that, so I'm not gonna go into it. Water and sewer rates, we're getting ready to bill a second time, and we are still looking at bill pay, and I did wanna mention that I spoke with the clerk from Newcastle, who just signed up through a bill pay program through Casell. She said it's a lot cheaper than a Visa card, kind of a percentage, and that they have saved so much staff time that it's more than pays for itself. So Deb is gonna talk to her about, because they have a different company apparently that we were talking to see how that is. On the armory, a couple of additions. I don't know if you saw those little painted cameos that were probably on a stairwell that used to go up from town hall to the top floor. Those have been given to Grant Houston. He seems to know that, he thinks the artist was the sheriff's wife, and that she was probably decorating, because I guess the jail and the sheriff's office was below, and they lived on the second floor. And we've also found a few more of those little things. There's one with some roses have been cut out of a magazine and put in one of those little things. So he's gonna save those. And, so they're sitting out in front of his office now, the whole wall. And we also, you wanna go see it, it's right up there. We also found, or Kevin Walker found both of these, an old sheriff's bill for a revolver, a siren, a billy club, and I can't remember what else. Patches, yeah, so, that's gonna go to the museum, because it's intact and it's really, we'll peek into the 1950s.
That was their whole budget that year, Ron.
$20.
That pie elk stew, they're fine.
So, things are coming right along, the beams are up for the second floor, to support the second floor. Those will be under the ceiling, so if for any reason you're gonna go see the beams, hurry, because the ceiling will cover them up, but, it was a little scary a few weeks ago when we had our meeting and Bruce decided to jump up and down on the second floor and the entire building shook. And it's not because Bruce is heavy or anything, it's
been a long winter.
Oh, that floor was not in good shape, so now Bruce, you can go back up there and see how much movement you
I
can.
saw the beams downstairs, it looks quite substantial.
They're substantial, definitely. And the rough plumbing is in, and all the windows are cut out, so if you walk around in the addition, you can kind of get an idea of what it's gonna look like when it's done.
Is the gym closed or is it open?
Close, for 3 weeks, at least.
Does that mean that like it's locked and you cannot get in it?
Well, I don't know if it's locked and you cannot get it, but you cannot be in it because it's a construction zone.
It's not locked, but you're not supposed to be in there.
Is it marked construction zone? Cause, I mean, CrossFit was in there Monday and.
They went back in the fitness center, that's still open.
No, cause I was there.
Oh, well, she said, I told her she wasn't allowed out there.
Okay.
So we're gonna need to get a little bit more
It needs to be,
enforcement oriented.
yeah, it needs to be marked or something because it doesn't, I mean, to say it's closed and then it's open and there's no signs or nothing or anything, no signs or anything.
There's signs.
Yeah, there's signs on there since it closed, but
I just think it needs to be a little more visible. I don't know.
We'll take care of that.
Leslie, I have a question back to the water. Y'all were looking into Lisa and all that. And I don't know, I'm just throwing it out there because, did that work?
Hey, tell us more expensive.
Is it more
Oh,
expensive?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I just paid.
I didn't know,
For donations, it's way more expensive.
Okay.
And then the other additions of planning commission is, met with the Hinsdale Planning Commission for a joint meeting on the community plan. They're gonna meet again on May 21st. And, at that point, I understand that they're going to consider adopting the revisions. So I sent out to you today the procedure, but this is a statutory town state law, this is not a local law. The planning commission adopts the final version of the community plan, not the board. The board can go to the hearing and testify at the hearing and ask the planning
Seems
commission.
odd.
I know, it does. We could change it by local ordinance, but we don't have a local ordinance, so. But I think one of the things to consider is that the community plan has no force of law. It's only a guideline, and you are not required to follow it. But, just so you know, that's the process, and you'll see a notice in Friday's paper to allow that process to start to occur. CML, I am on the research committee for CML as a Interfast first meeting 2 weeks ago via the phone, a 3-hour phone conference. I also went to a training in Grand Junction on how to cut government waste and expenses, and that we're doing pretty good, but. And then I wanted to remind you that if we did put extra money, or we did preserve the training fund for BOT, so you could go to CML. And I don't know if any of you have signed up. It's coming right up now.
Is that June 18th or 16th?
16, 17, 18, 19.
When is the last day of registration, do you know?
I think the cheap registration may be up, but I'm not sure. But if you're gonna register, you should do it soon, because the price starts to go up. Let's see, so we are gonna consider the sign code, adopting the sign code at the next meeting, and also the tourist-oriented destination signs program, which what would happen is you would have to decide that you would wanna apply for one, and then I will apply for it. You see that. And, let's see, the last thing I think I'll mention is that Lake City will be sponsoring the Western Slope Town and City Managers Meeting in July. And, I'm hopeful that that will help our economy. And everybody's very excited about coming to Lake City, and I've already arranged for a Gulf Tour grant. So it'll be fun.
How are you doing on rooms?
Um,
Do we still need people have places,
I don't think so.
openings?
Angela found 45 rooms people were willing to hold for that
In
weekend.
July?
Yeah, for that weekend. But I told the managers they have to make the reservations really soon because they're not gonna hold them very long. So we'll see. I know some of them made them today.
Right. I've never thought
Anything else, Leslie? Any questions for Leslie? You and I were talking online about the planning commission secretary to turn in the minutes. Is this time to bring that up, or?
We need to get, we haven't had a process where we get the minutes back in the office, and we are required by law to hold records, including draft minutes. So we need to either pass a resolution that they need to be in a certain time past the meeting, or another alternative is to have the staff take care of the minutes. And then we don't have an issue, but we have a problem right now, and I don't know if you guys know that I wasn't notified that they were having a meeting until a few hours before, and I had to tell them they couldn't meet because we didn't notice it. And these are statutory laws, we can't pass them.
A couple of planning commission members are here. Is there, can you do the minutes and get them within a week?
Yes, I can. I just needed to know that I needed to do that.
Okay.
And now that I do know that, I can do.
In the meantime, but do we need to consider an ordinance to have
I
that?
don't know if you need an ordinance, but just a
Or a policy.
resolution acknowledging.
I think if we get them in, we'll see how that goes, maybe, and go from there. Because I know you worked on them, probably pretty quick after the meeting. You forget, so if you can get those to Leslie within a week, that would be great. Thank you, Karen. Any other questions for Leslie? Thanks for your report. Next, Rec Director Ben.
You guys should have my report, just some updates. Tree trimming, it didn't pay for us to have Tyler come over and do the work this year because there wasn't anything technical that needed to be done. And McClung bids were right in line with Tyler's. Sometimes they were even cheaper. And he's almost done right now. All he has to do is remove some trees down at the Memorial Park and just a little bit of trimming at the lumberyard, but that's it. And then some other things. The gazebo should be here probably in a week or two for the confluence thing there. And then we'll put a little beach in with some umbrellas and things like that, Adirondack chairs. And then we're still going to do more bike trails at the ski hill this summer. And I'm going to have to order bathroom partitions and paint the floors in the restrooms at the town park. The ones Rob donated just were too small. And they have to fit the wall dimensions and everything. So I couldn't get them to work. And then my only other question is, with the closet, the storage closet in the armory, now Kistner's is pressuring me to build it right now so they don't have to work around all the junk and move it umpteen times over there. So I'm still trying to get Steve to help me, and the attorney said that you guys could decide that, but he would have to leave the room. So I don't know if you want to do that now or add it to the agenda or what you might want to do.
What was that again?
To help the closet over there, Kistner's originally told me to build it, and he backed out of it.
The storage closet across the south wall.
Yeah, so he backed out at the last minute. Kistner wants it to be built, and it's about $3,000 worth of materials, and Guy was about $3,000 in labor. If I use Steve, I think we can do it for about $4 total or a little over, with me and Steve doing it ourselves. So we save money, but I just know he can't be in the room if you decide if you want him to actually perform the work.
In other words, if you want to put it on the agenda to see if that would be possible or not, but Steve would have to leave while you discuss that.
I spoke with Ben about this, and if we don't want any impropriety, you said Kistner was going to hire a guy. As far as I can tell, at Kistner, they can hire whoever they want. So if Kistner does it, the trustees won't need to be involved. It's a Kistner decision. Is that correct?
Technically, I think it is.
But Kistner had a much higher bid, right?
Yeah, they were at $14,000, but
Yeah,
Russ is saying
that's our problem.
they were hiring Guy themselves, so it didn't have to go through a bid process or anything because they already bid on the entire project.
That would avoid any confusion
he's saying they could technically hire.
Mm-mm. We talked about this with each other. So, what we're trying to do, what Ben and I are trying to do is get this done as cheap as possible. And we're probably gonna try and do the tile in the bathroom too, because we need to save the money to do other things that we have to have, like the fire, the pass-through into the kitchen. So I don't know how to build storage cabinets, but I know how to do tiling, and but we need to hire somebody who knows more than us to kind of supervise us and help us out, and that's the plan. And so if we'd like to vote on it, that's okay. We can't, it's already been out to bid. We can't.
For the storage closets in
Yeah,
Solar World a couple times, or
That was with the project, but we took it out because it was too expensive and we could get a cheaper price.
But that particular, storage closets weren't put out to bid by us separately.
No.
No,
I think, I would like to see that. That's when, like, we used to do the floor, me and Henry, and it was always, if nobody bid on it, then we would do it, or in Henry's case, was on the board. And, he quit bidding on stuff like that.
can we do that as an agenda item so we can discuss it? Would that be okay?
Sure.
Because we're in step.
Any other,
That was all I had for rec. Can I say something? Chrissy asked me to say something about a blood drive. Is that all right? Okay, it's June 19th. I think she said it's at the Black Crook, noon to 5:30, and you call her to make an appointment during those hours sometime, or email her. That's all she wanted me to say.
We had a great turnout when we did it the first time, if I recall, and they couldn't believe how many people showed up.
They turned people away, if I remember.
Yeah, it was attaboy Lake City.
What were the hours?
Noon to 5:30, June 19th.
any other, questions for Ben? Thanks for your report. What are you doing with all your time that you don't have to clean the armory, Ben?
It's clean everywhere else.
It's only spring, nothing happens
He's
in the spring.
painting.
Painting,
He's pretty much doing all the painting out there.
Next, Public Works Director. Greg.
I believe you have my report in front of you. I would love to answer any questions you might have. And I do have some additions to my report I'd like to add after you have any questions.
So, 2013, in the month of April, we produced 14,252,200.
Correct.
In 2014, we produced 8,028,400, down 6 million. This year, you produced 4,070,000, almost 50% over and above.
It is not just I, it is all
Working
of you.
scholar.
Yes.
Good job. I know, it's everybody.
Everybody.
Good job.
Conservation.
Yes.
Can you read my mind, Greg?
No. Hey, look, the first thing on my list.
Just to preface this, I've had 3 complaints in the last 10 days about potholes on 3rd Street. You mentioned that you had used up the asphalt that you originally had. What is your time frame? When are you gonna get more asphalt, and when will you start on that? So I can tell people what's going on.
I do not have a definitive answer for you. That's the easy, short answer. And now I can elaborate and say, well, the batch plant in Gunnison is just gone online. And that's where I was purchasing the hot mix from. I'll have to get it from Gunnison and haul it back to Lake City. But prior to purchasing the hot mix, which is in my budget, I can find the money for it, no big deal, probably 5 tons of it. We, Clint and I, have to cut out the potholes, remove the debris, which if anyone saw us working on the last group there on 3rd Street, which wasn't too many potholes, 10. It takes a lot of effort and a great deal of time, just the prep work on the street itself. 3rd Street, unfortunately, is such poor condition, really from Silver to Bluff, that some of the cuts we're going to do are going to be 6x6 cuts that are a foot deep. So that's going to take a great deal of asphalt patch, hot mix patch, not cold patch, to make it effective. So although I want to prioritize potholes, I can't. The priority is water and sewer, basic infrastructure, and the daily work that we have, which is pretty much a full-time job for both of us. Testing daily, all the things we have to do for CDPHE, working with Joanne in order to make her job easier. So, that being said, I would expect, weather permitting, once again, we don't want to work in the rain out there, if possible, using the asphalt saw. Weather permitting, we will start cutting holes next week. So that's my time frame. We have to have all the prep work done, everything ready to go before we purchase the asphalt and bring it in. Because basically it's a one-time shot. We bring it in as it's hardening in the back of the dump truck, and we lay it, and we do our best, and we probably have to hire at least 2 other people to help us in the process. There's always a shortage of manpower. There's always a shortage of money, which is also equates to manpower, because we can't hire too many people to do it. And it's also lots of risk in the job itself, with airborne particulates and also running the saw. And just in general, it's hard to bring in outside people to work with us and feel safe about it. So there's my time frame, is next week we start cutting, and then once everything's prepped, and there's basically a road full of giant holes, now cut out holes, squared holes, then we go, we get the asphalt, and we lay it in one day.
Thank you for elaborating on that, because I just wanted people to know you really do care about this.
Yep.
The hot patch, I wasn't quite aware of. You can't just have it sitting around. You
No.
have to prep everything. Obviously, it's the rainy season, but 3rd Street, worst condition I've seen.
I know, and I take full responsibility for that.
But you've got other things. I just wanted to bring that up because when people ask me, I want to give them a good answer back.
Right, and there's always, I mean, it's been suggested we outsource it, but it costs a lot. And also, if I was to approach the County Road and Bridge Department and ask them to do certain things, first of all, Robert's pretty much preoccupied with all his work. It's hard for him to do anything for us currently. June is a really busy month for him, and also it's, you're looking, their labor rates are high, their machinery rates are high, a quadruple of what it costs us to do the work. They require a 2-man crew on one pothole and 1 vehicle at least, and that's that's close to $200 an hour probably. And that's just a conservative estimate. That doesn't include the materials, of course. That would just be them. And so when people have suggested outsourcing it to the county and saying, hey, didn't the county used to do this? And I said, they used to, pick and choose, but they did them. I don't think, and I wouldn't know this because I've only been the director for so long, but I don't remember ever asking the county to fill potholes. Maybe Jody or Rob did. I don't know. I know particularly they would do ones by the school. I've always seen them do that, and sometimes they would do the post office. But CDOT would sometimes do the post office as well. So I really don't think it's a viable solution to use the county to do our potholes. But if there's enough pressure, that might be an alternative. Too much information, I'm sorry.
So for clarity, you work 2 days cutting these holes.
Yeah.
And then when you finish cutting these holes, then you drive that new dump truck, I guess, to Gunny one morning, get it filled and come back.
And work quick. That's why everything has to be prepped, because we have, in the hour that it takes us to get back to, well, let's say it's an hour and a half in a dump truck, it takes us back to get Lake City, we're gonna lose 6 to 8 inches. Will crust and not be usable. We'll have to pull that. We'll call that out as we dump it. You know, it'll be in chunks, and we'll throw that to the side.
So, is that a CDL truck? I'm curious, the reason I'm asking is, would it be helpful, or is it even possible, to have someone else take the truck and
Oh, it's
get
definitely
the stuff
possible.
while you all are cutting?
That's right here in the forefront of my mind. When I say the dump truck will go to Gunnison and get the hot mix, I'm not saying that we necessarily will be doing the driving. I'm saying that we need a dump truck to go to Gunnison, get the hot mix, and bring it back. It could be a Odell Smith for all I care. It could be anyone as long as they're willing to do it and not charge us. So that'd be great.
Volunteer opportunity.
Well, even if they charge us for an hour, I don't know. But that would definitely be the ideal situation if Clint and I were finishing up and ready to go, and that dump truck backs up, and there's a driver in it, and we could do the work. That would probably be preferable. It's going to be a 3-man crew, if not a 4-man crew. So
we
to
need
answer
to
that
find a
question,
driver.
I'd rather use our dump truck than pay the county,
Right, yeah.
you know, $110
That's what
an
I'm
hour,
saying.
150.
And that's
for
why I
their-
was curious if it was CDL or.
Yeah, all we need is, and like I say, a driver to do that would probably be very helpful, you know, and that's definitely something that I've been mulling over, how that'll work. It's new to me, there's no doubt. I've never done this much pothole repair or, you know, used hot mix, really. So it will be an experience, and I would love it if, you know, who knows, maybe real volunteer, you know? You never know who will help out. And
I think I could drive the truck. That's why I'm asking.
yeah,
If that's legal.
well, sure it's legal.
Yes, I mean,
Yeah, I can tell you right now, it's legal.
Volunteering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have a driver's license.
I have a CDL,
Yeah.
I mean.
That's all you need.
Yeah, you need
You
that.
don't
Yeah.
need
Yeah. Well, let's not even talk about that right now.
Yeah.
We digress. I think, are we done with potholes now, Russ?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And not to change the subject, but it causes me many sleepless hours of my life because, yeah, they're right in front of you, and it's troublesome. And I know a lot of people are upset about it, and it is, of course, it's the worst it's ever been because we've progressed in time. It's going to be worse next year. You know, it's just the way it's going to be until they're filled, and then we'll see how they react once they're filled. You know, the hot mix should work fine, but the subgrade is destroyed, and it will continue to upheave on the freeze thaw, and there's nothing we can do about that. We can't, you know, we can fill the holes, but we're not fixing the streets until we tear up all that asphalt. We rotograde that stuff out of there, and that might happen in the near future. We might decide that we're sick of the potholes, we're sick of doing this, we're going back to gravel until we can pave our roads.
I just add one question here because this is important to me. Second Street was paved the same time as Third Street back in the 60s. I understand Second Street has 3 potholes.
Mm-hmm.
Third Street, obviously, many more. More of a drainage problem on Third Street.
Yep.
Just like everybody to consider the possibility, if possible, with heavy trucks that need to go into downtown area, reroute over to Second Street, which is in good condition, come down Bluff. I don't know all the technical, except I go Second Street, 3, Third Street, very damaged. Giving us time to refit Third Street as best as possible. But for example, you bring in a concrete truck for the armory, 40,000 pounds, I would think at least 50 maybe. Wet streets, 40,000 pounds of compression on potholes versus going down Second, coming around. A simple thing, but I'm just bringing this up that I don't want to have the attitude that there's nothing that we can do rather than what can we do. Working with
Yeah, I am disappointed in myself that I didn't bring that up, that I didn't think of that, because I think that's a great idea. I don't know how easy it'll be, I mean, to keep people to, you know, it's hard to enforce, but I think that's a great idea, just to say, you know, it's a simple sign, and, you know, no truck, no double axle, whatever it might be, on this road, and you're gonna have to go down Second or Fourth. How's that sit with you, Judd?
Oh, okay, it definitely affects me.
I know, see?
And Russ and I've talked about it, and we have many different, drivers, and it's not like the same driver comes in that all the time. The thing, and I told Russ that I will talk to the drivers that, have more of a schedule to go down Second instead of Third. This is, I believe, as bad as I've ever seen it on Third Street, for whatever reasons. It's, you know, for our deliveries to go down one more block, it's no big deal. Go down one more block the other way, it's no big deal. You know, it's we sure tried, but I personally don't think it's going to make any difference. But we, you know, let's give it a shot and see. But we have to have our signage.
Yeah.
And that's another one. You know, we're getting a lot of signs.
I don't know if that's really gonna work, cause what about the Cisco trucks and US food trucks that come right down there, that feed?
They have to deliver.
I mean, so you're still, trucks are still gonna be coming
No,
down.
I'm not saying all trucks, I'm just saying that if you could just eliminate some of the trucks.
Just Bruce.
That's what I was thinking. That's my word.
Truck was quite noticeable. Just bring it up, people thinking about it, okay.
I think it's a good idea. I think it might be too little too late. But no, every little bit counts.
It seems to me like we need to take a long, hard look at tearing that up and going to gravel, rather than continuing to spend manpower and hours and money on Band-Aids that are good for a couple months. I don't know, those patches, you know.
Yeah, it'll be year by year.
Yeah, and it just seems like a futile fight against.
It's somewhat futile, but at the same time, it makes an impact on tourism, and it's just like, you know, it's like medicine. It helps for a short while. It doesn't cure anything, but it will help.
Sure.
And it's the board that has to weigh the difference between short term and long term.
Did you ever happen to get a chance on a rotomill machine? How much that would cost to get one?
I do know how much it would cost. I don't have the numbers in front of me. I have the estimate to rotomill out 4th Street. So, but I don't have that with me. I'm sorry. And it's not terrible. I think the estimate is $1,400.
So road to how much? What
Maybe
second
1,000. 4th Street.
All of 4th Street.
Mhm.
No, that's one block.
segment, yeah.
To the alley.
Oh, just to the alley only.
Just to
Yeah.
the alley.
Yeah.
So it's not even a full block.
So explain what roto milling would do for that amount of money.
It would remove all the asphalt down to subgrade.
So just remove that.
And that is with them putting it, we're disposing of it though. That price, and let's just say it's $1,000 for half a block, so let's just go 2,000 a block. That's us removing it and disposing of it. That's our dump truck, them rotomilling it into our dump truck, and we hauling it off. Because disposal is a huge cost. If companies coming from Gunnison use a rotomill and a dump truck, they're taking it back to Gunnison. They're charging us a lot for transport and disposal.
Can't we use that as a patch material?
You can use rotomill
Save it
for
up,
patch,
use it like gravel?
but no one recommends it. No, I mean, when I say no one, the asphalt companies and CDOT. That's my everyone. Those are the people that I talk to.
And what do you think it's gonna cost us to patch 3rd Street?
Patch it?
Like what you're gonna do, fill the
I think I gave you those estimates.
Yeah, you did.
Last month. I don't know off the top of my head. Yeah, I'd have to have the numbers in front
Are
of me.
those two numbers compatible?
Compatible as far as?
Filling the potholes and roto tilling, are those two numbers similar? As far as dollars and manpower and.
Probably. I mean, there's a chance. Like I said, I can give you very strong numbers. No, you can put me on the spot anytime, but I can give you the strong numbers pretty quickly. I can email them to you. I can do whatever. I can post them however you want, and give you exact numbers on what it costs to rotomill, and then the semi-accurate numbers on what it's going to cost us to patch 3rd Street and do 5th Street. You know, 5th Street's kind of, unfortunately, a big priority in my mind because I get a lot of complaints about 5th Street.
You rotomill it, then you can drag it like we've done those other segments and flatten it out.
Yep. Yep. I mean, if you drive on, you know, Rob said it before, you can drive down a dirt road and it's way better than 3rd Street. You know, there's less potholes on Henson or Bluff. And that's because, yeah, it is what it is.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I don't want to take up too much more time. We got down on that. I just want to give you a quick synopsis of summer things. I'm trying to projects to prioritize ditches and culverts, of course. That's going to take up a lot of our time. We have no help on that to rehab ditches and culverts. We're going to do the water and sewer for the Armory off of Bluff Street. We're going to do those taps, Flint and I, and tap the water and tap the sewer and run the water and sewer lines. Constant acquisition and analysis of river and well data for Joanne to work with to show that our bank filtration is working, which is probably my biggest priority. And then the post office, the potholes at the post office. I'm trying to collaborate with them to have the cost split. I just got my bid finally from United out of Gunnison to put in the concrete pan and do the asphalt patching, and I think it's a great price, but I don't feel like the town should bear the full amount. So hopefully the post office or the landlord there will comply and kick in 50% of it, and then it won't be such a big deal for us. In the town, Clint and I will remove all the asphalt, grade it, prep it, they'll come in, lay the pan, and do the asphalt patch to the pan. But that will be a very permanent fix, and it will eliminate that drainage problem. And that's all I have to say.
If you could get us those numbers on how much it would be to say rotomill the road as opposed to patching it, I think maybe if it's conducive, maybe we go with the rotomill and then use some of the road base on 3rd Street, because that's such an important piece of road in town. Is that instead of doing, I'm not sure which section you had chosen,
right?
Is to maybe do that one block and then the rest of it down Henson or something. Because,
Okay.
I mean, that's
I think that's a good idea as well. Yeah.
It's more permanent.
What's what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it'll make it a fairly decent road from what it is now.
If we were to do that, would you want to do from, let's say we have to hold back 10 feet minimum off of Highway 149 into 3rd Street. Would you actually want to go all the way to Bluff, or would you really want to do Silver to Bluff? Like, when I drive down 3rd Street, it doesn't really affect me till I hit Silver.
That's what I mean, yes, I think Silver to Bluff.
Okay,
right? That
Silver to
one
Bluff.
section through there, right?
Okay. Okay.
Silver to Bluff.
Yeah. And that, I think that's actually, I'll get you the numbers, we'll see what's better, but I think that's a very viable solution because we're gonna be cutting out a lot to do these patches, and it could be for naught.
It's a lot of time that you guys wouldn't have to spend besides disposing of the material as they
Exactly.
grind it.
Yeah, and we would keep the rotomills, and like Bruce says, it can be used places. There is a use for the asphalt in certain conditions. But yeah, I'll get that for sure because I'd probably, I hate to go back to dirt roads in a way, but if we put our Grant Road base, the finer road base there, I think that would really help. But then we have the whole weird transition to the Armory then, where it's asphalt and also drainage issues. But yeah, lots of things going on.
Sounds like you have a somewhat of a plan. So
I like that somewhat.
I would carry on. Any other items, Greg, you wanted to talk about in Public Works?
Yep. I love to hear myself talk so much. I'm gonna take up as much meeting as I can. It's called a filibuster. Dust application will be postponed. I think it was printed in the paper that it would take place in May, but there's been a change in that, just so you know, and anyone that's in the meeting knows. The dust suppressant application isn't gonna take place till June. I can't coordinate with the county road and bridge to do prep work on the roads. They're too busy. He has no time in May. As soon as he can do it is June. We have to have the roads prepped and watered before the application. So that works out fine for me because I have to dig up the streets anyways for all the sewer line videos. So there you go. Dust suppression is a little bit later. And it may be put on hold even another month. It may just turn in October and I haven't even done it. I don't know. And then we'll have 16,000 for road base. Oh.
Okay,
That one comment in here about not hearing any bullets or
Yeah.
screaming.
Any questions for Greg? We're gonna cut him off there.
Good job, thank you.
Thanks, Greg.
Thank you, Greg.
Good job on the water.
Next is town clerk report. You just got it tonight. If you have a minute or two to look at it. Did you have anything to add, Deb? Any questions for Deb? Thanks for your report. Next, building official. We have a report. Jack's out of town. In the middle of the Grand Canyon probably right now, having a beer and dinner.
You can't Skype him, but. Any idea what the 3 permits issue? Oh, they're gonna show up later in our deal, right?
Yeah, on the agenda.
Will they match the permit?
No, not completely. Questions? We want to ask Jack when he gets back. Next, historic preservation officer, Roger.
Okay, we had a special meeting on April 21st. It was at 8 o'clock in here, and with conditions, we approved addition to the Baptist Church Fellowship Hall. And Bruce Heller was here, Jack Nichols and I also were in attendance. We signed the certificate with conditions, and then they wanted to meet with their own group. According to my neighbor, Lynn, signed it, but I haven't seen that.
We have it in our,
Oh, you do?
certificates at
Okay.
the end of the,
Great.
yeah, Byron Ford signed it on 4/26.
Okay. And then, we approved the stabilization plan for the Kingsdale County Courthouse and the stairway replacement plans. And, those were done by Slater Paul out of Denver, and they're real good historic preservation architect. They got very detailed plans. And then we approved plans for a garage addition at 517 North Silver Street for Tom Davis, and I don't know may require a board of adjustments to file notice in the paper. It'll be later this month.
The first setback.
Yeah, they wanna put an addition onto the garage that butts up to the alley, so I don't see that as a problem. So, those three,
Roger?
yes.
Probably my fault, I shouldn't have.
Yeah.
Oh,
You have to
I'm sorry.
be really careful about
I'm sorry.
expressing your opinion on something like that.
Well,
Thanks.
so anyway, that's my report.
Roger, any questions for Roger? Next, sheriff report. You all got it emailed last night.
A little busy.
Department is busy again, and it's gonna get busier, I think.
You know, only thing I'll add, Mr. Mayor, is to quell any possible rumors. We got notified this morning that Milo Morris had been found dead in his chair in his living room. We went over and we're doing a parallel investigation with Jerry. We helped him. Milo looked like he'd gone to sleep. Jerry and I both think he probably had a massive stroke or heart attack. He still had a coffee cup in his hand. Probably been dead for about 24 hours. We helped Jerry load the body, and Jerry took Milo to the medical examiner's office in Montrose, and they'll do an autopsy because it was an unattended death per state law. And the family's already said they wanted him to be cremated per his wishes. The executor and his immediate next of kin are flying in from back east tomorrow, and my staff removed significant volumes of intrinsic value items out of the house and have them resecured at a different location. It was either that or we were going to have to put an officer in there 24/7 until we got the will cleared up and everything released. So it's been it's basically we've worked on that the entire day. And so anyway, everybody knows he wasn't in real good health, and his trials and tribulations are over.
Anybody have any questions for Ron and his rest of his report? Thanks, Ron, for your report. And, keep up the good work.
Thank
you. I know some days are hard.
Yeah, they are.
Okay, next, that's all the employee reports. Next is trustee reports. We have a trustee report. Russ?
If I could add to what Ron just said, I knew Milo for 17 years. He was a fellow Vietnam veteran. He got a little crusty in his later years, but he ended up, in my mind, he was a pretty good man. So thanks for taking care of all his valuable possessions.
You bet.
Trustee reports.
I just wanted to say I'm sorry I was late. And we had a long day in Alamosa with 350 elementary school kids. We ran a little late, but
You deserve to be late if you
we left at 6. Walked in the door at 6. It was amazing.
Those days. Anybody else? I didn't mention the health fairs this weekend at the medical center. So on Saturday, if you haven't signed up, get there and get your blood drawn and try and stay healthy. Mother's Day is Sunday. Any other trustee reports? Correspondence received. Few more OHV letters or invoice. Correspondence up here they want to talk about? Okay, then we'll move on to citizens communication. Audience tonight. Going on. Getting ready for summer, busy season. Additions to the agenda. About the storage closets. How do we want to word that?
I just say discussion of Ben's request.
Okay, storage closets. Any other additions to the agendas? But by the way, that'll be item 10. Okay, the action items. So first we have a public hearing to receive public comment on a proposed ordinance to rezone of lots 1 through 5, block 12A, from general business district to limited multifamily district. The Board of Trustees will hear this request and the Planning Commission's recommendations for denial. Action, applicant, Brad Graves, Bob Williams, P.E., and the town manager.
Mayor, I'm gonna step out of this public hearing, because my company's represented Brad. I just think it'd be better if I'm not here.
You're gonna recuse yourself?
I'm not.
Okay.
Next time when it's done, we'll think about it.
Thank you, Michael. So on our your public comments first. So
I need to go over the staff report and then
okay.
your public comment. So this property is in the general business district now, and the requested zone is the limited multifamily residential. And there is a development proposal that they would like to build, but I want to make clear that this is only a zoning, a rezoning. It's not a development approval. And I think that's often people get those mixed up, that by voting against a rezoning, they're voting against a development they don't want. It's only a rezoning. The development may or may not happen. It may, if you rezone it to limited multifamily, anything in that zone would be allowed there, just as anything in the general business district zone would be allowed there. So I just want to distinguish between a rezoning and a development approval. We're not approving a development tonight.
So are we gonna throw all that information in on the?
No, they can make their case any way they want, but I just want to be clear that all you're doing is considering a zoning change. So I had a number of people call me and they were opposed to the development, but they were also opposed to the kind of uses that you can put up with the general business district. And what I had to explain to people is that we cannot prevent development on that knob of any kind. If it's general business district, development that's general business district can go there. If it's limited multifamily residential, development with limited multifamily residential can go there. That's not something the town has decided to limit or regulate. So just so you know that. So the Planning Commission considered this over several meetings, which you'll notice, and had quite a bit of discussion and decided to recommend denial. It was not a unanimous vote, but the purpose or the reasons behind their denial were that they felt that we didn't have enough general, or that we don't have enough general business district zone to rezone something and lose that piece. And also they were concerned about the traffic congestion that might result from limited multifamily development. And tonight, when you make your decision, you will also have to make findings, just like the Planning Commission did, on why you are deciding one way or the other, and those need to be included in your motion. And what I have listed here, the amendment is adverse to the public health, or whatever, whatever you say it conforms or helps, doesn't hurt public health, safety, and welfare. criteria that are listed are the criteria that you have to have findings on, because these are the criteria, the legal criteria that make you able to make a zone change. In this particular case, and I don't usually do this, I made a staff recommendation for this reason. This is down zoning, and I think there's a couple of problems with this particular property on why it has not developed as a commercial property. It's up on a knob, and I'm sure any of you in commercial development know that you need quick access from the road. And usually, these kinds of properties aren't going to develop in general business district, with the exception of maybe a restaurant that wants to take advantage of the breeze. Generally speaking, the problem with a property like this in our general business district is the least visually aesthetic of any of our use zones, and that particular property is one of the most visual property in the whole town. So I wanted to give you an option on the way to look at that, because I am concerned that there's sort of a mix-up between, are we preventing a certain development or not. So any of those general business district uses can go up there by right, and including their lights and whatever they have. So you just have to weigh that this particular site, you know, what you think it's appropriate for. And the other issue is that I needed to point out is that the finding on traffic would probably be true also for general business district. So that's the kind of thing you have to weigh. There are certain uses in general business district that will not generate that much traffic. Say a storage unit kind of a building or a use. But any kind of a retail or office kind of complex or whatever, car dealership could also develop. Depends, traffic congestion is really dependent on when you have, if you have a peak traffic use. For instance, restaurants are peak traffic users because people come at dinner or lunch, they don't just sort of wander in all day long. Something like a storage unit, people would come through the day, but not necessarily all at one time. So those are the kinds of considerations you have to make when you're making a zoning decision. And the planning commission minutes are in there, and I can assure you that they look at this project from every angle. The developers have contributed quite a bit of the information in the packet, and I know Bob Williams is here tonight to talk on his project, and probably should before the public hearing so that people can comment on his presentation in the public hearing. The idea is that we're supposed to get all the information out before the public hearing and people can comment.
Okay, Bob Williams, you want to come up? And
yes, sir, Bruce. I'm going to have if we could get, I hope we have a teenager here if I have trouble with this computer, somebody to help me with it. We do have a presentation here on a point. We're going to run through a little bit, but before we start that, I want to talk a little bit about, and I don't want to insult any of you in respect of what could go out there right now. The way that is set up at the present time, it's the CBD, Central Business District. And that could be, I'm sorry, yes, correct, general business, yeah. And that could be wholesale businesses, drive-in theaters, light industries, utility company storage yards, car dealerships, building material lumber yards. And basically, the two criteria is it cannot result in any public or private nuisance. That's in your regulations presently. It requires screening, 6-foot fence around it. That's the basic requirement for this general business district. The request was that Mr. Griffith is requesting is to downzone this, and I want to emphasize downzone to a limited multifamily. And the uses then change considerably. And this is where you need to make a judgment call as you go through this. Single family home, could be one single family home up there, it might be X that you would have to prove, could presently be 5 or 6 based on the lots. could be a public utility service facilities, government buildings, public parks, recreation, churches, Sunday schools, any accessory uses, boarding houses with not more than 15 boarders, offices for lawyers, dentists, accountants, engineers, etc. So these are things. Now, a conditional use within this district is for multi-family residence, which is what is present. I want to emphasize that Leslie said. Mr. Griffith is not proposing any project at all at this point. He is simply wanting to get rezoned, that any one of these uses could go into it. The real desire is multi-family, to get some affordable housing. That's his ultimate goal of this process. When I was unable to attend the last planning commission meeting, so I'm not real sure where their wisdom came from in a denial on this. And I want to talk a little bit about that as far as your overall community plan that was adopted in '06, if I remember right. I don't know a lot about it. I know that part of it by the county, the trustees, and that was a plan to where you as a community wanted to hit. You received a lot of input from property owners, and they came up with a plan. And during that process, the issues that in addressing this, Leslie touched on, and I'm just going to briefly touch on them too. But the first one is it cannot impair or hurt public health, safety, or welfare. The down zoning, so you can judge in your own mind. I don't see any issues with public health and welfare. There's not sewage issues, there's not vehicle issues. I don't think it's impacting whether it's a business use or a limited multi-family use. I don't see it. The next one is, as you go through this process, that it, here, safety. What this is, of course, which we'll talk about briefly, but is it in conformity with the master plan? And you have to evaluate this. These are actual requirements that your zoning regulations have set forth. So, and there's a number of those. Leslie addressed 8 or 10 or 15. We'll address some here too, in conformity with the master plan. Then the next one that is not a factor here is the existing zoning in there, erroneous, something was wrong. That is not a factor in this that any of us can find in the process. There was nothing.
You have to have an actual mistake.
An actual mistake. So that did not occur.
Say that was a bad idea.
That's correct. So with that in mind, I'm going to try to go through a quick presentation here, and I'm going to try to show you the property from various perspectives. I want to address the potential use. I want to show you the impact. I want to address your community plan and some of the issues that I think the Planning Commission overlooked in their wisdom on this, as far as following the conformity of your community plan. Here.
You can turn this one off, Ron.
Is that left? Let's see, where's the lead? She said it wasn't a password. Let me see. Paula let me use this computer since it was all set up to go up. There we go. Okay, in respect to the community plan, I thought, we all thought this was a very important concept. Successful communities do not just must be continually shaped and guided. And that's what I think in your position as elected officials, you have to address at this point. In this whole thing, there's issues of what is really best. Let's see if it works here. Okay. These are what your plan calls for. Keep zoning regulations flexible so as to better implement the plan and respond to community changes. Communities continually change. One I think is very important is a fifth generation Lake City. My great-great-grandfathers were here in the early 1800s. Sherman, named after him. He built Sun-Gullion Pass. Williams Creek up there was named after my family. Lake City is a very special place to me. And this community ambience, the whole essence of the little community needs to be maintained. Plan in a manner that enables a strong, diverse, year-round economy. Boy, this was a tough one for Lake City. How do you get a year-round economy here? Encourage a variety of residential neighborhoods that consider together offer a wide range of housing. We're emphasizing housing, opportunities to meet the needs of the residents. There is an absolute need for housing in this community. Plan in a manner that recognizes and values private property rights in implementing your community goals. Allow development only in areas with safe and adequate septic facilities and water. Encourage a variety of types, sizes, prices, and densities of housing, again, to meet your needs of residents. Up to here? I need a mouse is what I need. Which one hit?
I think just that the arrow on the side of the keyboard.
Up here?
Yeah.
Oh, on the keyboard?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Right here.
Oh, that arrow. Up and down?
No. There you go. You got
oh, okay. Planning in the future has to start with a vision. And this vision has come from your community. You developed a community plan, needs to consider infrastructure, the proximity to its site protection, for Lake City and its residents and guests. Today, in this piece of property, this is a potential of what could go on. It's zoned such that we could put 5 buildings on here of about 60 by 100, 30 feet tall potential, or any of the other uses. But we wanted to show this one just to show you the impact to the community. And I think this is where you need to plan in a manner that recognizes the value of your property rights, the value of your community, and implement your community goals here. There's a perspective of what potentially that could look like. That's the size of those buildings. I'm not saying this is practical or anything, but you can see the scope of it. It is massive. And it could be just tremendously overwhelming to Henson Street, its view, the whole community. This is physical property from all of Lake City, essentially. You need to identify your issues and needs, and that's where I don't think you, at this point, you need to look at your needs. Do we need business or do we need multifamily? The current zoning, these are just typical, allows for 60 by 100, 5 of these that we talked about, 5 units per building, so we have 25 units, 20 by 60, sold as RVs and industrial storage condominiums. Access is currently off of the platted road, around the back of the property. Which is emphasized here. You can see that back there, the street where the deck built, that is the access coming off of 135 that swings around to those lots. If this road was used, there are probably some issues in this road coming in, as far as width, cuts on it, what have you. RV storage units would have turnaround issues coming through this, which needs to be addressed. One of the things that the community plan says, review current zoning regulations in order to identify incompatible types and density of affordable housing and work to eliminate those barriers. And that is your plan. See if you can help do it. Now this is a little hard to read on this, where the present zoning is throughout the town there. Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, can you go back one?
Now that I know how, yes.
Right there? So what exactly are you saying when you're saying there could be issues with the street and the
On the access coming right through here, coming around to this property, coming in through this, as it presently is, we would propose coming off the Highway 135.
149.
Or 149, I'm still at Crescent Butte, yes. Off 149.
It's a platted access, that's the actual access on the plat map, but it may not be practical.
That's correct. That's correct.
So,
and if that could be eliminated, if you do get it off of 149, this road then could be abandoned. And each one of the property owners, I believe that's the way it works, get half on each side if it was abandoned. So that right down the middle of that would be split, and the people on the right would get half, the people on the left would get half. Obviously, you can't shut Joe off into his, so there's still some issues in there. Is that answered? Current zoning. This is kind of showing what's available right now, and what's interesting is what's for sale in Lake City. Look at the yellows. Not very many. White is government, school, healthcare. It just gives you a feel for what's happening inside Lake City, and this reinforcing this need for housing and location to put that housing. This is what's called the Lake City Uptown Utility Map, and you can see that water's there, sewer's there, power's there. So all the facilities are there that the community plan requires. Now, we took this plan and said, okay, this is probably the most we could do. We came in and put in these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times 4, 20 units up there. On a kind of imaginary plan if you had it, but we wanted to give you a feel of what could happen. Now you see the access drive coming off of 135 into it. You see this part abandoned, not being used. There could be some storage units in the back for these units. You can see how they kind of follow the routine of the hill. This was a concept that we've actually retained an architect to draw a concept of this, to give us an idea of some simple units that could be put on there and would meet this community need. We'd be looking at that property towards the north. And this is kind of a typical little simple house that we looked at. A little 2-bedroom, 2-level, living area, kitchen down below, a couple of baths. Very, very simple. Some kind of typical interior on these 1,500 square foot units. That's a layout now coming up on an aerial view, kind of showing where those at. And this again, the community plans is to set the stage for intelligent, coordinated actions instead of complacency and inaction. I felt this was the planning commission's view. They were complacent. They did not want to address this. I was not there, so I can't fully address that. Maybe one of inaction because I'm not sure that a lot of people would just love to see that hill with nothing on it. And I think that may be a lot of what's happening there, and I do appreciate that viewpoint. If we build, well, there's some facts. Lake City has built 6 new residences in the last 5 years. There's currently 19 active businesses for sales. Sales tax has maintained an inflation rate of increase for the last 10 years. Hinsdale County is the 8th highest county in the nation to lose population base. 2015, Lake City has lost 3 businesses to the These I did not prepare, they were given to me. Whoops, I'm sorry, I'm back. This is the economic impact that could happen by putting these units. In terms of property tax to the unit, you could gain around $80,000 through here. Over the years, the tap fees that are paid, the user's fees, there is a significant impact. Not to mention the contractors in building this that comes in. The lumber yards getting some lumber out of it. There is a need. It's not something that's a pipe dream that we're gonna come in and build a 15,000 square foot center. This is something that's real that could be done. And this was with guest lodging looked at. If you take 4 people per day, 4 units times 5 buildings, that's 80 residents, guests per night. Take that down, meals, entertainment, an average of $40 per day. That's $320,000 of area sales generated for 100 days of occupancy. You can get 100. Now that's short-term type rental, which you know there's a tremendous need in Lake City for. The sales tax estimated at that would be at the 8% of $1 million, which you come back into these, work backwards, is 128,000 potential. And these are just some issues we thought of, the town leadership needs to look at. How do you as a community maintain small mountain community ambience? Plan for the future with a vision, build in available infrastructure, encourage housing, protect view corridors. We're trying to protect a view corridor here. How do we plan on building our town? That basically, those are what we wanted to present. Again, I want to emphasize that there's no consideration of this is what the review, this is just the potential. We wanted to present and look at this overall picture, and which I really believe is a stronger use. I'm not even sure what business could go in there at this point. Maybe storage. You guys know a lot more about that than I do. It's obviously set for all these years. It's not a real attractive piece of property for a business type opportunity, like a storage yard. It's too steep. It's got access issues. Could be a beautiful restaurant up there. Could be one big, beautiful, single-family home, too. Could be a park. They're in town, buy it, make a park. You know, all these ideas. But our thought was that this was the best use for this property was to get it rezoned into this limited multifamily. This presentation, if you have any questions, I'd love to answer them. Yes, sir.
Okay. I understand the property is $250,000 just for the land.
I do not know. Okay, that could be, I haven't got into the dollar side of what the property is.
The reason I wanted that was, I drove to the top of the bluff, my van went, wow, what a perfect place for a park. The town does not have the money to buy that property, but if private individuals wanted to step forward and buy the property, donate it to the town, that would be nothing. But I'm a businessman, and I look at that and I go, you mentioned a restaurant, I think of the Broad Apps. Didn't make it. Better theater. People mention drive-in theaters. I wish I could go back to those days. Car lots, maybe in 75 years. We're losing businesses. Restaurants that were down 30 feet down the hill in Dan Fly's area, out of business. That's where we are right now. I noticed you didn't show the property available in Gulf Flats, the building, the houses. But I'm looking at it as a business person, going, okay, what's the best usage?
Russ, I'm gonna give you a word of caution. No opinions until after the public.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I actually think you
probably hit the nail on the head when you said that they want nothing to happen there. A lot of people, they don't want change, they don't like change, they want things to be status quo, you know, the way it always has been. And I think that's probably a lot of the issue, because they don't want anything there, nothing.
Let's be careful and keep this to informational questions. We're getting way off the purpose of this particular presentation. We need to let the people, the public hearing occur, so you can also have the benefit of people's opinions on this.
Any other questions for Bob?
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you. Turn that off so it won't be in your eyes there.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bob.
This will open up the public hearing to receive public comment on the proposed ordinance to rezone lots 125, block 12A from general business district to limited multifamily district. The Board of Trustees will hear this request and the Planning Commission's recommendations for denial. And we'll do that after the public hearing, the request for denial by the Planning Commission.
You have it.
Yeah.
It's already under consideration. You don't have to do anything about it. You just take it under consideration just like you do public comment or anything else. I will mention though that before, after the public hearing is over, if any of you have spoken to somebody that gave you an opinion in the community about this, you need to declare it and let you see.
So when you come up and speak, please come up in front of the board.
More clarification. When you say that, are you supposed to say their name, or are you saying that I have received?
Usually say something like, I spoke to John Smith last week and he was opposed to it. Or if there was a point that was not for or against, then, you know, he was concerned about drainage. Just something.
Well, how does that relate to reading people's correspondence to us?
If you had received correspondence, we should have had that to put in the packet. So if you received.
No, I mean, this was, Ann put I don't know if it was your letter in the paper, or was that?
Yeah, I emailed it to you and it was in the paper, but
Yeah.
it wasn't in the packet, so I'm prepared to read it tonight at this public hearing.
So
I must
That's
have read
right,
it in
yeah.
the paper.
Yeah, if that happens, if Ann does that, then am I supposed to read? I'm just trying to make sure I'm doing.
no,
right.
so this would be individual stuff. We went to breakfast one morning. Somebody said, on that rezoning, I really am against it, or I'm really for it. Then you'd say, I spoke to John Smith, and he said last week, and he said he's for it or against it, or concerned about drainage. This isn't about letters that we generally receive.
Can I ask why those weren't included in the
I
packet?
did not have a copy of your letter. I apologize.
What about anyone else? Was there any other correspondence?
I don't honestly, Ian, I don't know if I read your letter as an email or if I read it in the paper.
You emailed me right after I
I
emailed
did email
you,
it back.
and you
Okay,
told
well
me
then
you
I read
it.
your email and I should have forwarded it on to Leslie. I apologize. I did not do that. But I guess when I guess I responded to you thinking I sent it. But I did read your letter.
Was there any other letters to the Board of Trustees?
Not that I received. I mean, if they went to other people, if they don't come to Deborah, they don't put in the packet because we don't know them.
This is for us, we're getting public comment, we're not just
Well,
talking
that's
during,
what
the board is not talking during, until the public comment is over.
I just wanted to
But we're talking
clarify.
about comment.
If I needed to clarify, say, hey, I read Ann's letter. Okay. So I'm
Okay, let's
Just
get move on
quickly, I
here.
want, it's more than me. Well, I wanna make sure I'm clarified, I don't wanna come back later and.
I don't think there's any problem with discussing this issue. It's your opinion on the project.
My question too is, if I ask someone's opinion, is that?
You should not.
You shouldn't have.
You are in a quasi judicial, this is a circumstance
Okay.
when you shouldn't really be talking to anybody at all about this at all to anybody, including each other, of course. Because it's quasi judicial, so you're not supposed to be soliciting opinions outside of the public hearing or outside of this process. This is a land use hearing, I don't know, we had.
What if it was prior to this meeting? Like,
If you know that the town has an application for a rezoning or any quasi
What if
judicial
it-
matter, you should not be discussing it with anybody. Do you remember when Catherine still?
well, I do now, that's why I'm trying to get this.
I know you
clear.
don't do very many land use things, so that's not fresh in your memory, but land use hearings have a much higher level of expectation for the people who are making a decision because they involve people's finances.
Just like the planning commission had the same rules of the quasi judicial,
They are not allowed
visits,
to
they
speak
weren't
to
allowed to do that either.
Their decision is only, as a recommendation, but that standard is held for anybody who's considering this.
So, when you come up and step up in front of the board, we don't have the microphones tonight, that speak, loud, I think we can, get by with that. Try and keep it down to 3 minutes. If it runs over a little, that's, fine too. If you agree with somebody else, you can say that you agree with that person. Or you have the table, so, we'll, call for, the first speaker. We did, didn't we? Do we need a motion?
You just gotta say the time.
Okay, I didn't say the time is, 7:35.
Would you leave 8:30?
Yeah.
8:35,
Yes.
man,
That's
guys,
shadow
you're having fun. So the
All
time
right.
is 8:35, okay, state your name and address and,
Mr. Mayor, Board, my name is Skylar Denham. I'm a resident of the town. I live on Sunshine Drive. I also emailed a letter. I know it was before the last scheduled meeting, so probably about 3 weeks ago, and I addressed it to the clerk. So you should have gotten that letter addressing this issue also. However, I appreciate the plaintiff, while he was showing us his slides of scary large buildings, adding that those, of course, weren't practical. Nobody's planning on doing that development, just like at the moment, nobody's planning on turning it into affordable housing. I mean, this isn't Crested Butte. We don't maintain our small mountain town community ambiance by pretending that it is. We have plenty of residential zoning already in this town. A 70% vacancy rate shows it. The suggestion that we may get affordable housing out of this proposed change, in my opinion, is ludicrous. Does anyone really think that that spot on the hill overlooking Pete's Lake and the river would become low or affordable income housing when there are lots in the ball flats for sale? And for some reason, as one of your trustees addressed, those were not illustrated on the slides that were shown on it. You know, the impact by putting new housing up there, you mentioned the user fees and property taxes. Well, you know, we're not a business trying to make a profit off of user fees. You know, we charge what it costs to build or to maintain the system. And the same with the taxes. If property taxes goes up, we're just going to have to lower the mill rate. We're not trying to make any money off of this issue. The folks that originally addressed the master plan many years ago and the zoning, I think in their wisdom said, you know, general business district, so that it is, as described, a hard place to develop. But that if that's that if something really good, unique restaurant, something that it can become a business that everybody could use, becomes practical to build on that spot, and I think that's the building that should be put up there. I don't think we need to change it into a limited residential site where we can have more vacant houses, since we already have plenty of them already. Thank you.
Next,
Marshall, and I live on Ocean Wave Drive. And this is a repeat of my letter that was in the paper, and also, I'm pretty sure all of you read by email. I'm not sure if Bob read it, but.
And you don't have to read it if they, did you all read her letter? Did anybody not read the letter?
I'm concerned that it wasn't included in the packet and it's not gonna be in the minutes of this public hearing.
Well, we'll put it in the packet right now because you're reading it, so that's what makes it go in the packet.
Oh, so I'll go ahead and read it.
Well, I mean, if you just handed it, but I wanted to say, Richard has not